ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur, where I'm your host, David Strege, and here I have another review for you, this time of a film that was filmed in 2001, about 2 years later than The Sixth Sense, but it was directed by a totally different director, which I didn't know until I'd actually looked it up for this review. It was actually directed by director Alejandro Amenábar, and using the production companies Cruz and Wagner Productions, Sojacine, Las Productions del Escorpion, Dimension Films was associated with it, Canal, Lucky Red, and Miramax, and ultimately Dimension Films, as well as Buena Vista International in Argentina and the UK, Fanatic Films. These are all distributors that were associated with the film. Kind of funny. It had many different. It even had Universal Pictures on it in Germany. So interesting enough. It's basically about a woman who goes by the name of Grace, played by Nicole Kidman, who lives with her young daughter and son, Anne and Nicholas. And this is slightly after the Cold War. First of all, the inside of the house is gorgeous. I mean, it is just darkly gothic. So I would have to say that this is a horror mystery, gothic, haunting kind of a film. And what I find interesting about this film is I find similarities between this one and The Sixth Sense, because again here we have a family of ghosts that is visited by ghosts, and one of them does not realize that they are ghosts. Because eventually they have to find a way to live along with the living. The only thing is, the mother and the two children are so secluded, so into their rules and religion, that it's almost like they can't accept that what happened to them. Regardless, I feel like I will always remember Nicole Kidman for this role as Grace, because she has that school teacher likeness of the time period where it seems like she homeschools her children, and she has some very rigid rules. Um, and she's evidently waiting for her husband to come home from the war. And these three people end up coming to become caretakers of the home. But there is a little boy by the name of Vincent or Victor, I believe it was Victor, who seems to be seen by the younger daughter Anne, played by Alekina Mann. And evidently there was an incident involving pillows that the children seem to remember. Um, that was not a cool incident. And so I really think that with the intruders that come into the home, and the way that the paranoia sets in with Grace, who is this rigid mother who doesn't really believe in anything than what she's been taught to believe, um, really drives her to the point of a breaking point. So much so that when it comes down to it, she entirely admits to her doing wrong, because evidently her kids um, are very photosensitive to light. So she always has to keep them in darkness. So when the family that tries to move in removes all the drapes, that's when everything goes wrong. I like the fact that much of what is going on is very in the background, so that you could see the air and the mood and the setting of where this mother and her two children come from. It is a very secluded lifestyle, because it seems like she lives a life of solitude with her children, even though it seems like little Anne is actually um, one that starts to believe things outside of everything, and she's just on that cusp age of becoming a young woman, uh, maybe 12, 13, 18, and she's a very impetuous child. She's got a very annoying voice at times, uh, which makes me feel like she could be a protagonist at times. And there are times that in the film where it makes her seem very innocent, and she definitely, even though she seems to like to scare her brother, uh, there is a protective moment that you see from her. So there are some very human moments here of realization. And when you realize that the three caretakers are in fact in the same league as them, that's a total another realization. I mean, that's like something on top of something. And having seen The Sixth Sense sometime earlier, I always thought that this film was related to M. Night Shyamalan, and when it wasn't, I was like, well, what the fuck? Why did I think that? And I do think that there were similarities in this film and that film, but I don't know why I like this film better than I did The Sixth Sense. More because it has that aura of, you know, being strange every time I watch it. Even though there's a moment in The Sixth Sense that still brings a tear to my eye. So I thought that this was a very weird film. If it wasn't for this film, they wouldn't have been able to make fun of it in Scary Movie with Michael Jackson. So I do believe that this film has um, a quality and a remembrance to it. In a sense, it kind of reminds me of the story of the Innocents, or the Turning of the Screw, where there too there were children there. So I'm wondering if it has any relation to that kind of storyline. In any case, I enjoyed the performances and all involved. I enjoyed Fionnuala Flanagan as Mrs. Mills. If you know anything about her, she actually was in an older Dan Curtis production, in a version of the Picture of Dorian Gray, earlier in her life. And she's been on Bonanza and Gunsmoke, and over time she's had different roles over the period of her career. So, yeah, I certainly enjoyed watching this film, and I enjoy it for what it is. It's not that it scared me or anything like that. It was just very weird, and a period piece of its time. I enjoyed the setting. I enjoyed the gothic romance of it, because there was a moment where her husband came back and then he had to leave again. So hopefully you enjoyed my description of this film. Here's what the film looks like to everyone. It came in a 2-disc set like this. From Dimension Films. It was part of a collector series. So there it is. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Appreciate the time spent here. And I just enjoy describing this films for you guys, at least in my own way. Thank you so much.